What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Doc Sports YouTube channel. My name is Sean Barnard, and I'm back here with you with some more Survivor Pool NFL picks. Before we get fully into it, I would like to remind you guys that you can get $60 worth of free member picks by clicking at the top of docsports.com. That's docsports.com. They've got everything you needed for your written content and everything else for every sport as far as NFL, college football, basketball, and everything in between. You can check out my written work, a more concrete and more in-depth breakdown on each of these games, as well as every game across the NFL and all the other awesome writers over there. So make sure to check that out. Once again, that's docsports.com. Now, before we get into this week's slate, week 9 was a little bit of an underdog story. While they're just 9-4, favorites were 9-4 outright. They were just 3-8-2 against the spread, including 2 pushes. The biggest upset of the week was, of course, the Jets over the Bills, the Super Bowl favorite Bills, who the Jets took them down by a score of 20-17 to move to 6-3 on the season. So pretty impressive result, pretty surprising result there. I also don't touch on the Bills for the pick in this week. Josh Allen's the biggest storyline. It looks like there's a real chance he might miss this week. That's something to monitor as the game time gets closer. But for the most part, I'm staying away from it until there's some clarity on that. Now to get into the actual picks for the week. And by the way, it's worth noting that the bye weeks in this week are the Ravens, the Bengals, the Patriots, and the Jets. And my number one pick for this Survivor Pool this week is the New York Giants over the Houston Texans. This is, of course, the kind of the portion of the season where you got to get a little bit creative. You're kind of running through your top options. And it's time to start buying that the Giants are the real deal. They come in the matchup 6-2, coming off the bye week, facing off with a Houston Texans team that is 1-6-1 and on a 3-game losing skid. Houston ranks 28th in points, 29th in yards, and their defense ranked 30th in rushing yards allowed. Facing an offense that's essentially built around Saquon Barkley, I expect him to get a healthy dose of touches and for that to be the difference in this one. So as much of the Giants have kind of played uninspiring football, they've gotten the job done pretty much week in and week out, and I expect that to be the case this week. Moving on to number 2, I have the Chicago Bears over the Detroit Lions. Bears coming as 3-point favorites in this one. They're 3-6 on the season. They most recently lost a heartbreaking 35-32 shootout against the Dolphins. The Lions, in contrast, are 2-6. Justin Fields is kind of the biggest storyline for the Bears and this matchup overall. In that matchup against the Dolphins, he rushed for a ridiculous 178 yards and scored 4 total touchdowns. He's continued to develop as the season comes. He got NFL Quarterback Player of the Week for the Bears this week. And the Bears have scored at least 29 points in each of their last 3 matchups. The Lions defense ranks less in the NFL, allowing 29.3 points per game. I don't think the Lions offense is going to be capable of keeping up with this Bears team, which has shown some signs of life, and I'm starting to believe it. The playoff picture, or the playoff door is not completely shut on them. I think they're going to come out fighting, and this is a great chance to snag them as a good value pick this week. Next up, I have the Chiefs at number 3, 9.5-point favorites over the Jaguars. Chiefs coming into this matchup at 6-2 against the 3-6 Jaguars. The Chiefs are leading the NFL in points per game with 30.4, as well as first in overall passing yards. The Jaguars are coming off a come-from-behind win against the Raiders, in which the Raiders held a 17-0 win to start that one. They're averaging just 22.1 points per game and allowing 19.8 points per game. So their defense is very good in Jacksonville, but I don't think it's going to be any match for the Patrick Mahomes-led offense and the Chiefs. So yeah, I think you can feel comfortable about the Chiefs in this one. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a pick you used up already. They're a pretty week in, week out comfortable pick, but I think the Jaguars are going to have kind of an emotional letdown after that come from behind win last week and just lack the talent to keep up. And last up for my picks that I like this week, I have the Las Vegas Raiders over the Indianapolis Colts. And both these teams have been absolute messes this year. Raiders come in 2-6 versus the Colts. They're 3-5-1. The Colts obviously hit a breaking point and got sick of their slow start by firing Frank Reich this week. Pretty shocking move there. And even more shocking is they go with Jeff Saturday as the interim head coach, a guy who is not coached above the high school level. And while he's obviously a very accomplished NFL player, did some amazing work with the Colts organization during his time there as a player, that's a big change to make in the middle of a season. So with a new play caller, a new head coach, and honestly, Sam Ehlinger has not done anything to inspire that offense to get going. I think this can be too much to overcome. So while the Raiders have played poorly down the stretch, have blown some real opportunities to win games, they're still by far the more talented team in this matchup, and I expect that to be the case. So yeah, like I said, coming off Raiders, they also blew a 17-0 lead last week. They got to be itching to get fired back up, get in the win column. They need to do something. It's been a disaster there. They need something going for them, and this is a great chance to get it. Now let's move on to games I'd rather avoid this week. Starting out with number 1, I have the 49ers versus Chargers. a little surprised by the line in this one. Opening line came out at -7 in favor of the 49ers. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I'm a little confused by how wide that margin is. The 49ers are 4-4, while the Chargers are 5-3. The addition of Christian McCaffrey has provided that offense with just a whole new element, and pair that with the fact that the defense ranks first in yard allowed and sixth in points allowed. The 49ers are forming to be a scary team. But with that being said, the Chargers are not a pushover. They have some talent. They've got guys there. And I think this is going to be a game that is closer than people expect. So while I do lean toward the 49ers getting the win, you're better off saving them if you haven't used them already. Number 2, I have the Seahawks over the Bucks. Seahawks are 2.5-point underdogs in this. This is the 9:30 game in Germany, Munich, Germany. This matchup is. I lean toward the Seahawks getting the win, but this one I'm just not confident in staking anything in. Seahawks come in 6-3, 4-game winning streak. They've been one of the most entertaining storylines in football this year, with Geno Smith having his kind of redemption story and leading that team to a successful season. And in contrast, the Bucks, 4-5 on the season. They're coming off a Tom Brady old-fashioned game-winning drive to finish last week, which is a little bit of momentum and feels like the biggest positive outlook that they've had on the season. So while I do believe that the Seahawks are legitimate, they've been amazing to watch this year. Tom Brady's burned everyone too many times before, so I'm a little nervous with his back against the wall, staking against him in this one. He's also 3-0 all-time in international series games, so something to keep in mind. He's a guy that isn't thrown off the schedule. This one I'd rather stay away from. And last up, I have the Saints, 2.5-point favorites over the Steelers. This, for some reason, just kind of jumps out as somewhat of a trap game for me. This is a game the Saints should win, but they've found ways to lose games they should win already this season. So looking at Pittsburgh, they're 31st in scoring, 29th in pass touchdowns. Kenny Pickett's going through his rookie growing pains, but for some reason, this feels like one that they have a chance to get a win in. The Steelers are a more talented team than I guess their record indicates. They're obviously very young, obviously in the rebuild. Mike Tomlin looking at his first season ever as a coach, being under 500. But I think this is one of the rare chances where they have to get a win. He's a coach that's always going to have his guys fired up and ready to play. So one I just don't feel quite comfortable enough in for the Saints. So let you guys let me know what you think about the picks. Anybody you like, any questions, drop a comment, drop a like, make sure to subscribe. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the channel, and I will get back with you next time.